within the context of the business enterprise that, quite frankly, may not be able to create or at least utilize anonymity to the same degree as the Real Wealth Matrix would like you to, well, in those circumstances, we carve out that particular business. This is, from Duke. Wonderful. Hello, folks. Anonymity question regarding professional licenses. Any general contractors out there or other professionals that need licenses for their work have been able to retain anonymity without using other professionals or businesses to qualify them? I'm at an impasse. Well, Duke, I love this question. I actually do field this question from time to time because there are a number of members in our community that are in businesses and industries that require professional licensure of some sort, whether that's contractors, doctors, other medical professionals, attorneys, even accountants, right? They're in our community and they're questioning, how do I actually, in effect, if you will, put into practice the Real Wealth Matrix, knowing that I have professional licensure. And oftentimes, those industries that do require professional licensure require that licensure information or the individual who is licensed be disclosed to the public. Well, in those circumstances, what we are typically counseling our members to consider is the utilization of separate verticals. Remember, when I use the term vertical, I'm referring to the trust holding company, operating company framework. That is the Real Wealth Matrix. I call that framework a vertical. Now, when I say use separate verticals, what I'm essentially saying is within the context of the business enterprise that, quite frankly, may not be able to create or at least utilize anonymity to the same degree as the Real Wealth Matrix would like you to, well, in those circumstances, we carve out that particular business. We carve it out and create its own separate vertical, its own trust, its own holding company, and its own operating company with, if you will, the disclosure of that licensed professional at the operating company level. Now, while that does not necessarily keep intact anonymity, because again, there's disclosure of that licensed professional, it does accomplish all of the other objectives of the Real Wealth Matrix with regard to actual asset protection and ecosystem infrastructure for tax reduction opportunities. What we can do, though, is we can marry that vertical with another vertical in that respective spectrum of assets and income. Right? Typically in this context, we would be talking about the spectrum of non-passive, right? Because there are four spectrums to assets and income. We have personal, portfolio, passive, and non-passive. So in this particular spectrum, you may have multiple verticals, right? In this context, you'd have a vertical for that professional enterprise, if you will, the licensed, if you will, enterprise. And next to it, you would situate another vertical, completely separate, its own trust, its own holding company, its own operating company. And that separate vertical could be used to render services to the other company. There could be a variety of ways that you do this. You could render services in the context of having support personnel, meaning non-licensed professionals housed in vertical B, if you will, rendering services on behalf or for vertical A. And by having that type of relationship, you could actually defund vertical A, the vertical that you were potentially exposed to the public with regard to having public knowledge, public awareness that you are, in essence, either the owner or at least the proclaimed professional that's associated with that particular enterprise. You could have vertical A through contract fund or defund, if you will, vertical A to pay for services rendered by vertical B. This is typically the avenue that we go down, especially when we're talking about within the context of some of our coaching consulting clients. We actually come in and we further customize the scenario where you can really leverage all of the benefits the Real Wealth Matrix offers within the context that is your actual situation, right? Remember, everything that we teach here at UpLevel is really a framework which is designed to be customized for your own unique circumstances. Now, I recognize that the community at large you may have lots of questions, and that's why we facilitate a lot of opportunities to get those questions answered. But if you are in a situation where you actually need more customized assistance, more customized support, well, then you may wish to consider reaching out to the team and at least talking about some of the different levels, different programs that we have available here, specifically within the context of coaching and consulting. Hopefully, Duke, that helps to give you a lot more guidance with regard to your particular question. Thanks for watching. If you got value from this video and you'd like to see another video on the topic of how to properly structure your business, go ahead and put this one on the list.